Bull or bear? Oh, take a look at the size of that grouper right there. Yeah, not that big, but it comes up a bull, and I just rolled a gold American Eagle for the first time. You notice that thing has a whole different ring than silver coins that I normally spin here. Good evening, folks. What's up? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Got the live Viva the Keys cam up in the lower Florida Keys. One of my favorite cams. I don't know why. It just makes me hungry. Looks like we got a whole bunch of mangrove snappers out there, some grunts as well, and a grouper, as we just saw. One of my favorite cams here in South Florida. Of course, you know I like to show the local South Florida cams because where do we live here? Where do most of my customers live? In South Florida. All right, quote that I haven't put up for a while that I used to put this quote up all the time when I first started doing videos, and I thought I kind of overplayed it at some point. But you know what? You can bring up stuff from the past. It's kind of like kind of cool, you know. What do they call that? Retro. We're going retro right now as far as my timeline goes on videos. But of course, the game is rigged. Don't let that stop you. If you don't play, you can't win. That's by Robert Heinlein. You know, I was a big Robert Heinlein fan when I was younger. As some of you Robert Heinlein fans may know, he's not all about space guns. In his early career he was, but he was more about thinking man stuff. You know what I mean? How the people in the future would think and how they would act, and the kind of well, anyways, not going to get into Robert Heinlein right now, but great saying. And this, why do we talk about this? Because this is what we have to deal with in our life every day, whether it's markets, elections, you name it. We have to deal with that kind of stuff. Of course, it is rigged, but if you don't play, you can't win. And same goes with primarily the silver market and the platinum market, I'm sure, because that is just such a small market like silver is. Gold market's not so much. We're 7% off from, or, you know, maybe a little bit more now, 8%. Let's see, 10%. No, not even. 8% off our all-time high. I'm not sure adjusted inflation or inflation adjusted. There you go. A little dyslexic there. But we are not too far from the all-time high from gold. But silver yet to see its all-time high of $50 an ounce back in 2012 and 1980. What a spread out period. But meanwhile, the Crimex markets have had enough time. The criminals that rig these markets have had enough time to really destroy them to the point where we are going to see physical supply disruptions, and we are probably already are in the ETF markets, as Ted Butler talks about, and the global markets as well. And when that starts to touch into manufacturing, when manufacturing has an issue buying large quantities of silver or any kind of quantities of silver for the use, again, of manufacturing, creating products that we need in daily life, that's when we'll really start to see the supply disruption start to meet the corruption in the Crimex markets that has allowed this to happen. All right, 1908.21 right now. Markets are closed 2286, 903 platinum. You know, if you're already bought in, fine, calm down, go fishing, go boating, go skiing, go hiking, go out with the dogs, the grandkids, whatever you need to do, relax. You know, you're in good shape right here. We may see even lower markets than 2286. Remember, these prices right here, especially with silver, you know, for decades now, has been so monkey hammered by the criminality in these Crimex markets that you don't have to worry about it. I mean, we're at dirt cheap prices. We have been for quite some time. And if you're going to deal in any kind of corrupt type market, why not deal in a corrupt market that gives you a product that's ages, 5,000 years? They've been using gold and silver, again, particularly silver as well. Why not buy something like that that's been corrupted to the downside? Now, if silver was $220 an ounce or $500 an ounce, you'd be really pissed if that was the corruption and they kept it that high. Then they chopped your legs out from under you at 125. But that's not the case. They've kept it cheap for so long, and their manipulative little game that's benefited them to the downside even. But it has disrupted supply out there. It has disrupted a lot of things. I talked recently about supply, which one of the things is I looked at the World Silver Council. What the hell is that shit? I showed you guys a couple of Silver Council or the something like that comes up for the official numbers that a lot of manufacturers and people that are involved in the silver market use as official numbers. And I've been pointing out that their numbers in the recycling and the mining for 2020 and 2021 are just completely freaking out of whack. So, one of the things that I am absolutely certain of is that the numbers that the industry, whether it's the investment industry in silver, the investment markets, or whether it's the manufacturing industry, has been looking at the official numbers for the Silver Council, whoever puts out those official numbers. Again, I forget. They're completely wrong. They're completely wrong for 2020 and 2021. During the closures, when you look at their numbers, you can realize that the closures had no effect whatsoever on the and the 2020 critter closure I'm talking about. I don't want to talk about it in videos. That really screwed this country, and we had big issues. And again, it wasn't the critter that caused the problem. It was the crooks behind the critter that caused the problems. But I won't go there. But no less, man, jumping down some rabbit holes tonight. Silver cheap to the downside. Silver cheap to the downside. If you got more ammo and you want to buy more silver, again, take advantage of it. And one of the big advantages right now too is premiums are really low. When a lot of guys were buying there was a lot of buying. There was some during 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. Is where it started to taper off, and 2023 it tapered off quite a bit more as far as the retail physical buying of silver. But I account that to the fact that there is a small percentage of physical buyers out there, physical investors out there in silver, and most of them are bought in. Most of them have known the message that silver is cheap for a long time. A lot of them are smaller investors that don't have deep pockets where they can just keep buying more and more. And even people with deep pockets would only buy so much as well. But a lot of people are bought in with silver as well. Okay, and they're kind of waiting for that moment. They know when we're going to see our third all-time high in silver, probably well beyond $50 an ounce. So keep buying this. Again, it's cheap, folks. It's cheap at this level. Premiums are super cheap at this level. Gold, like I said, 7-8% within its all-time high. Not so cheap per se, but relative to the U.S. dollar, what would I rather own? What would I rather stack? Would I rather stack $1,908 in $1 bills, or would I rather stack a gold ounce? We know the answer to that. Well, anyways, and platinum too. Poor platinum. But I believe that platinum is just really the red-headed stepchild of the silver market, and even more manipulated and grossly manipulated. And there's a couple reasons behind that besides the supply source, which is Russia, and for many reasons, not because Russia is bad people, what Russian supply platinum and South Africans do and the Canadians do. And I've heard for years that three particular countries are kind of like a cartel in the trading markets. They all work with each other despite what they, even though Canada and Russia may not be friends per se in the markets, they are. But anyways, let me move along from there. That's probably getting another rabbit hole. Where are we going? Where are we going with this? Well, markets are kind of up and down. As you can see in the 24-hour crooked Crimex markets, you've got a lot of sideways motion here. But most of the action, downward action, is going to be in the overnight markets. This is spoofing, folks. Somehow, some way, somewhat. It's like looking at the current person in charge of the United States bank records. Looking at who is spoofing is just as hard to do. It probably takes some forensics shit to do it, but it's absolutely spoofing. There's no doubt in my mind that this market is spoofed heavily in the overnight markets. And what we're seeing in gold, silver, and platinum in the overnight markets here for quite some time is bloodletting, slow bloodletting. And that's because, you know why it's not an overnight crash? Because markets are tight, man. They can't overnight crash it. They would have if they could have. If you don't believe that if they couldn't crash gold and silver markets in an overnight type of thing and make a ton of money, or even a week or 2 weeks, they would have. They've been trying, And the problem is it hasn't been working. So they have been using the bloodletting method of slowly cutting the markets by spoofing in the overnight markets. Overnight, again, that's not silver capitulation by anybody that has half a frickin' brain. It's not gold capitulation by anybody that has half a frickin' brain. All right, so this is just merely spoofing in the overnight markets. Again, spoofing to the downside. You want to buy a product when it's cheap. You don't want to buy a product when it's high, especially again. Age-old commodities like gold and silver that have always been money, always will. You'll never wake up and hear it went bankrupt. That's for sure. Overall dollar strength is about the same where it's been, and this is where the spin comes. Well, strong dollar means that people aren't going to want to be in gold and silver. Bullshit, folks. Strong dollar simply means that the dollar is stronger against the other turds. The euro and all the other turds out there that are in the horse race to the glue factory. And about the truth, that is the truth of it, more or less. What really matters to gold, silver, and platinum people, and most of you folks know I've shown you this chart 100 times, is this chart, CPI. The purchasing power of the consumer dollar just goes downward, downward, downward. And I tell you, if you were to take a chart of gold and put it over this chart, this is a 1-year chart, folks. By the way, this is not a lifetime chart. This is scary. This is a 1-year ski slope, an advanced ski slope downward under the current administration's, well, the last administration, I got to tell you, wasn't too bright on the financial side either, despite their claim to be great wealth. They didn't have much experience in the economic field. Boy, I wish Ron Paul was 20 years younger still running it. All right, I'm fantasizing. Sorry about that. Smartest guy we ever had run for president to understand these markets, and if he had won, we wouldn't be in this position, in my opinion. But I digress and jump down another rabbit hole, folks. What a beautiful evening we're having here. All right, there you go. There's the lifetime chart. This is why you own gold. I bet you. You put a gold chart over this kind of, an inverse chart. You will see that it's directly related to this stuff right here. It really is. Although there are some diversions here and stuff like that. But, how many ounces can you buy with those crappy ass paper dollars? That's the way you should look at it. Not how many ounces I can buy with dollars, but how many crappy dollars does it take to buy an ounce of gold, all right? I know it's a strange way of looking at it, but that's more or less what's going on here. Dollar gets cheaper and cheaper, buying power gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And look, it says it right here. This is the Fed's own website right here, purchasing power of the consumer dollar. Boom, down the drain. And again, don't you forget, come election time, folks. Look at that one. This is the current administration. It's even, let's look at the 5-year. Not good. Like I said, it hasn't been good under any administration. Because you know what? None of these, I was going to say the F word, none of these bastards understand economics. All right, hey, I'm going here. I said I wasn't going to go here only because there's so many videos by some good video people out there, and that has been done. One of my favorites out there is, T-Stacker out there. I'm sorry. Don't watch a lot of videos after work, but T-Stacker and some others out there talking about bank closes coin dealer accounts, all right? Now, I've been in this business a long time. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to take another sip of water here. I'm prefacing water here. That's okay. Bank closes coin dealer accounts. This is a. I saw it and I really didn't see it too much because the videos I watch are I watch videos about. What am I going to talk about? Videos. I like travel videos and that kind of thing, and nature videos, and I like, believe it or not, and I watch videos about firearms and stuff like that. So that's kind of my genre when I'm not working. I don't watch coin videos. I don't watch other coin channels. It's only because I do this 40, 50, 60 hours a week is why I don't watch these channels, okay? Not that I don't have any respect for them, but I wasn't going to do this video either. All right, long-winded reason why I wasn't going to do this video, but I got so many people, my friends even, texting me, look, you got to do a video about this, look. So let me tell you what I know about this bank closing coin dealer accounts, all right? Because I had it happen to me, I really did, a long time ago, and I'm going to kind of give you what I know about this, and it's kind of interesting about this because the new companies, the cannabis companies out there are having issues with banking. They've had it for quite some time. Gun dealers are having issues with banking. There was something under the Obama administration called Operation Something that was meant to go after businesses that they didn't like. I forget what that's like, but I don't believe that's completely entirely in effect now, and the reason for the closures of a lot of dealers here. And forgive me, some of these guys may have covered this, some of them may not. I have not watched them, but here's my take on this. Back when I first started this particular entity with my good friend Bob Lessie, when we were originally partners, I think it was A1A Coin and Jewelry when we first started, Bob Lessie and I. Before I turned it into Commercial Rare Coins, Bob Lessie and I split up amicably to do different things, and I took the shop and he did something differently. Very successful man, by the way. But when I first kind of opened on my own here, I was dealing with a local bank. I think it was a small regional branch here in Florida, and the bank manager was there, and I really liked her a lot. And I don't want to say her name or anything like that, but no, I liked her that she took care of my account. She called me. It was very personal, especially when I was a young, small, growing business at the time. All right, and so she ended up going and leaving the bank and going to another place. And I called because I wanted to follow her. My father always said, having a good relationship with your bank manager is important. So I followed her to another bank, which was a small savings and loan bank that primarily was involved in mortgages and people that had savings, okay? I brought my coin business in there, which was high cash volume at the time. And I think, we were still dealing with cash laws back at the time. Even though I don't think we had AML at the time, but I had high cash volume. I had a high volume of business traffic in and out of there, people cashing checks. So, couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks after I have this account, maybe a month, I forget the time frame, the bank manager calls me, and then again, the lady that I followed to this bank, she's almost in tears on the phone. She says, "Brian, can you come over here?" And like I said, this is a long time ago. And she says, "I got, I'm afraid you're going to have to close your account." And I said, "What's going on?" And she says, "Well, and I can't really talk about it and stuff, but you're going to have to close your account." So I ended up saying, "Okay." I went and talked to her, and again, I don't want to reveal her name or anything like that. And I started talking to her, and extremely small bank, folks, savings and loans. All right, loan for houses and savings, very, very small bank. So I started talking to her, and I said, "Well, what are they, discriminating against my type of business and that stuff?" She says, No, not at all. She says, "The problem is we're a small savings and loan bank. We don't want the high volume that you bring in here and customers coming in here cashing checks. We want savings accounts." Now remember, folks, this was a different time. We want savings accounts, and we want to make loans to people for their mortgages. And then we want people that just have like low volume checking accounts. We're not set up to deal with, we don't want to deal with the regulatory. So your business is completely outside our realm. And since you signed a contract that said that we could terminate your business at any time, that's what we're going to do. So folks, she was such a nice lady, and I felt bad because she was in tears at the time. And at the time, there was many other banks to go to, and that's exactly what I did. This is long before I've heard about this kind of thing right here. Now, my first thought is that probably with some of these Ohio banks and some of these banks that I'm hearing about here, were small savings and loans banks, and they have dealt with these dealers in the past for a long time. They were able to, even though, remember, the bank that I dealt with was probably even smaller than the guys that these guys are dealing with, or that the stories about this person right here, Sherry, I think. Yeah, Sherry, there you go. Sherry was dealing with, okay? My bank was even smaller. Now, imagine that over the years, the laws and the amount of reporting and the oversight on cash transactions on businesses that are dealing in particular products has even gotten worse, far worse than when I first opened here. So the smaller banks that were somewhat able to deal with that kind of scrutiny, from regulators or inspectors, and having to have regulators and inspectors on their own to investigate their customers, which is they're required to do now. They just said, fuck it. Excuse my language. Oh, I guess Sherry said that too. They said, fuck it. We're just going to not deal with you because we have it in our contract that we don't have to. That's what happened to me a long time ago, and I believe that's kind of what's happening to a lot of these folks. Now, if I'm wrong, let me know if Bank of America or any larger banks have closed down. I could be completely wrong. And again, I know some large bullion dealers and large coin dealers that deal in large amounts of money that don't have any issues with Bank of America, don't have any issues with Truist, other than the standard issues that most of us have, that these banks are real jerk-offs. Sorry to say that. They don't care anymore. They're just large corporate entities that don't care. But when you start to introduce cash into the situation, it changes everything. It really does. Your bank manager has better know you very well, because I had the recent experience too with what I just said, Truist. Truist told me they were going to close down my bank account not too long ago. This is maybe 7 months, a year ago. I forget the time frame here. They called me and said I had 30 days to comply with some kind of AML compliance. And I am AML compliant. I've been for a long time. It's something that's simple and fairly easy to do. You can take the test. It's not too hard to understand what the parameters are of the AML testing. But they didn't even tell me what specifically they needed. They didn't give me any parameters or anything like that. So my bank manager is telling me at Truist which at the time, before that it was Sun, and I was with BB&T, and I had no problems with BB&T, but as soon as it merged, I guess all my banking history went away. All of a sudden I was an unknown to Truist, and Truist looked at me like, hey, here's this guy that's bringing in a lot of cash, all right, and a lot of checks and a lot of business volume, And not only were we bringing into cash and checks and stuff like that, and a lot of money into this bank, we do a lot of business, and I guess a lot of people know that, but we also people were cashing more checks from us, and they were having to spend more time and money on us. I think at some point that a lot of these banks view businesses like ours that are high cash volume, legit, trust me, legit, legit cash volume and legit high volume of business in checks, and a legit high volume of customers that go cash their checks at branches, that they don't want to do the work. They just don't want to do the work. So if they find any excuse to get rid of you, think about that. These businesses are all about having as much of your money with the least amount of work, okay? This is my reasoning to believe that they're closing a lot of these companies out there if they're not AML compliant, as we are. And by the way, the story with that is that I closed, we used to be one of the largest suppliers of cash for payday at Truist Bank in our area, okay? They used to call us for cash deposits. I don't know if I should talk about this. But again, we are very, very, very strict with our cash compliance and all that stuff and the rules that we follow. So I'm not worried about discussing this with anybody. So they depended on us heavily on our cash, and we had a large volume of money going through there. When the bank manager heard, and maybe I shouldn't be talking about this, but when the bank manager heard that I told him, I said, screw you guys. You gonna screw with me? I'm taking my account somewhere. And by the way, I did take most of my accounts somewhere. I still hold a small account at Truist, but they don't get a lion's share of my business anymore. I took my business to Synovus. I want to tell you right out, small bank, love it. Good service over there. They come and actually meet you and figure out who you are and all that good stuff. But no less, personal relationship bank. You can't get that with Truist anymore. The bank at Truist said to me, oh man, the manager was, and he was super nice too. I felt bad for the guy. He was like, oh, I don't want to lose you, man. You're like our biggest customer. I said, no, sorry, dude, man, if they're going to screw with me like this. So I did move most of my accounts away from Truist to Synovus. I still keep a certain amount of account over Truist, just because I haven't transitioned yet, and they haven't screwed with me since I told them I was going to close all my accounts over there. Not only did I close my accounts, I got some friends of mine that have some huge accounts at Truist to close their accounts too. And that's really what it is, folks, is they just don't want to deal with the compliance. They want to be lazy. They want to take as much money as they can from us with the least amount of work and effort. Okay, that is the truth of it. I really don't think they're targeting us. I don't think there's any guy at any of these banks that's going, oh, fucking coin dealer. Oh, God, I hate that. I hate the people. Just close them. No. I think it all has to do with dollars and cents. And the reason they're closing them is because our business is under high scrutiny, and it's expensive. It's expensive to monitor our types of businesses, and so many things. Again, they want the least amount of work, and they want all the money they can get for doing that. All right. There's my whole spin on why banks are closing coin dealers' accounts. I don't think it's anything like they hate us. I don't think it's anything like they got a specific, they're out for us or anything like that. I don't believe that at all, folks. And again, cannabis companies, they have a problem. They've had a problem, and even they are finding ways to get through the banking system right now. But cannabis is illegal with the Fed still. Okay, opening a bank account, your bank account could be seized at any time. Those guys even had a bigger problem in that type of business. But however, again, I think it all comes down to the cannabis guys now are probably not depositing cash at these banks, but the checks from the distribution centers that are selling to banks are much more comfortable with that, depositing checks, because the distributors in the marijuana business are probably not taking the growers, or probably not giving cash to the growers or writing checks. This is much easier to follow. It's much easier to manage as a bank when it comes to regulations and that kind of thing. All right, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you kind of got where I'm going with that, and also appreciate why I didn't kind of jump into that fray too much. I was just kind of looking at it from the distance and going, oh, okay, let me give my experience on it. Folks, the best deal out there is still, it's everything. I mean, I don't think there's anything bad out there as far as long as you're not paying more than $125 an ounce on gold items, and as long as you're not paying more than, $350 an ounce or so on silver items, or less. Paid less is paid less is even better. And premiums are cheap right now. If you here goes my advertising. We advertise to beat Atmex, SDJ, and Bullion on their reasonably priced silver and gold and platinum products. If you live in South Florida, anywhere, we're open 10 to 4 Mondays through Fridays. Come by. We're cash and carry up to 10 grand, over 10 grand. We do checks only. We'll get into that with you later when you come in. And if you don't live in South Florida and you're looking to do larger deals, perhaps we can do them via wire and via telephone calls and such. But we don't have a website, folks. So if you don't live in South Florida, I always recommend check with your local dealers. And if he matches kind of what I'm saying for the best deal out there, and he'll beat Atmex, SD, and JM, you're probably dealing with a pretty damn good guy. Wow. Boy, all that in one breath. And that's it, man. That's it. Let me get out of here and talk about last week's video, which is the best, cheapest counterfeit detector. Good content there, super low views. I guess nobody really cares about counterfeits because they're all buying from reputable guys like me. But I talked about, there are some good deals out there on, well, I'm just going to tell you, fish detectors, cheapest thing out there. Good for you guys that buy a lot of gold products. Silver, not so much. Man, I think I saw a fake 100-gram gold bar. Someone actually dared to bring one in today. Guy wanted cash for it. When I told him we pay check only and that we needed to do some extra tests to it, he kind of ran out the door. What does that tell you? That tells you our standards are pretty damn strict here. Well, anyways, counterfeit detection. If you're not doing it yourself, make sure you're buying from people that know what the hell they're doing. Thank you, all you guys, for watching. Jason Warner, 9595. Absolutely true. Living the dream. Yes, sir. Bartender says, you get out of here, so gold left. Thanks, Zane. Hi, Brian, your sound level is too low. I notice sometimes when the videos first come out, the sound level really sucks. I think that's just a YouTube thing occasionally. 1970 on your segment metal, and it will ooh, forgot to do that. I'll have to let you know. Excellent to you, sir. Good to see you're back and commenting as well. Have I ever seen a fake or altered 100-ounce bar come through the shop? No. And I'll tell you why. Because I know what I'm looking at. We're known as experts in the area. Nobody's going to try to come over and pull one over us on purposely. So, oh, there we go. Would measuring the manufacturer dimension, inspect dry weight, and doing a homemade, absolutely, absolutely. If you can do that without buying the equipment, you're a good crypt keeper. Looking down, stayed focused together, absolutely. Digging it, Florida man. Tim Gibson, hope you're well. Hermosa guy, fan base followers, you guys are the greatest. You're like my friends. You're not my fan base. You're not followers. You're not groupies. You're not gold diggers. I'm not going to call you what you are. You're friends of mine. You know, if I met you in person, we'd get along great, I'm sure. And I'm a friend of yours too, Copper Bones. Christopher McCormick, 83 to 1. Should I be committing more so given the ratio? You know, I'm not a ratio player. I think silver is way cheaper than gold, just way cheaper than gold. I think silver is going to, hit its all-time high, hopefully sometime soon. And it hasn't done it for many, many years, and it's only done it twice, where gold is just like, we're just slightly off the all-time high. Michael Matthews, cheers to you, my friend, as well. Folks, please hit that like and subscribe button, and you can hit the bell there, too. It'll tell you when my new videos come up, hopefully. And that's really about it. You can catch me out here on Twitter. I'm trying to be a little bit more active. I'm trying. Just like I'm trying to put out more videos. But what a great forum. There's some really cool people out here. And let me just kind of point a few of them out here I've been kind of listening to and talking with. This gentleman right here, I believe, it talks about the Chinese markets and the physical Chinese markets. One of the smarter guys out there. Love what I read there. Shift Gold, as you know, and a lot of other cool things. And you can reach me out here too. I do like that platform a lot as well. If you don't find me here on this particular platform because they threw me off for whatever reason, here's my backup right here. And I do have backup videos there as well. And I like the platform too. I'm just surprised it's not as popular as it is. And that's about it, folks. Think for yourself, question authority. Most of all, question what you think you know, because it's pointless questioning others until you get it right yourself. That's it. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a beautiful evening. If you're looking to buy gold, silver, and platinum, anywhere from dollars worth of millions of dollars worth of gold, silver, and platinum, call me anytime at Commercial Rare Coins between 10 and 4 Mondays through Fridays. Now, I may not answer. I'm probably not around. I'm busy doing all kinds of... I'm busy, like, not getting to do the fun stuff dealing with customers. I'm busy, like, sweeping the floors in the back. But you think I'm joking, too. If you're looking for any amount of gold, silver, and platinum, we'll be at Mex, SD, and J and Bullion. We're a very small place, but very powerful in knowledge as well and who we know. And happy to give you a great deal. If you don't live in South Florida, find yourself a good local dealer. And if you can't find a good local dealer, call us. Maybe we can do something by wire and typical, over the phone and that kind of stuff. Again, it had to be larger quantities. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a beautiful evening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye now. Shout out to the apes. Shout out to the people out on LinkedIn, and a shout out to Butler Research as well. Good night.